Nope. No contracts are signed.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of
The Black Multiverse Theory
podcast. I like to change my cadence to keep you on your toes. Yeah. We are here once again to give you your local and your national and your international Mako. News. I don't consider myself a reputable journalist, so it's Mako. All right, how was your last week?
Last week was pretty good. Did a funeral last week. Rest in peace to a. Was it last week I did the funeral? Yes, it was last week. Yes, it was last Tuesday. Actually, did we talk about it on the podcast?
Probably, yeah, if it was Tuesday.
It was last Tuesday. So, did that. So, rest in peace to the Ferguson family. And condolences actually to the Ferguson family. And then last week, also got a chance to coach the boys for indoor soccer. Again, they're going
soccer season.
Yeah, they're going into indoor soccer. We had a lot of things come down the pipe with restrictions and what can happen with soccer and people's outdoor activities and their indoor activities. Mm-hmm. And so now it looks like it's on, like Donkey Kong.
Miss Florence Warren said there's a shutdown looming. I don't know where she gets her information, but...
Okay. Well, there you go.
She may have envisioned it. I don't even know. And to be honest with you, it's Tuesday, so they may have announced it. They may have been like...
They've been announcing things on Wednesdays. It used to be a Friday announcement with Jason Kenney every Friday.
It's on Wednesday now?
It used to be Friday. The last one was on a Wednesday.
Oh, I thought they usually have it right before our show. But maybe I'm mistaken.
No, they used to have it on a Tuesday. He switched it up and did it on a Tuesday, like breaking news.
Oh.
And then now he's put in the Wednesday thing, so that's interesting.
All right, so I guess we'll see what the people are talking about in the next little bit. Darren's on. Hello, Mr. Darren.
D-Money!
Christine said, ooh, pretty in blue. Yes, thank you. It's actually, you can't tell this, but it is the same sweatsuit, but it's giving you a different color on here. So my last week was pretty interesting. I definitely had a low period last week, just emotionally and whatnot. So I have been working to get myself out of that space and just being committed not only to my self-care, but committed to the growth that I see and the work that we do and all that stuff. We had our last Saturday market. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much to our entire team, Christine, Pinnock, Bert Richards, also Greg Davis, Tanya, Aaron is on there, or Tanya Rogers. I think I used her wrong name, sorry. And then Janelle is part of the market team. She also helps with the vendor, pretty much, helping get the vendors together. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, all of the many, many volunteers that join us. Did I forget anybody?
Bert?
No, I think I started with Bert. But Bert, if I didn't say it first, I think I did say him first. But in any case, it was really humbling. Like, we got 4 markets off. We ended the summer with tents in our possession, which we didn't have in the beginning of the summer. So it's exciting for us to grow like this. So, yeah, I'm very proud of that as a project. In fact, I would have to say, before we move on, it is one of my proudest projects because it is one that I feel like if I completely disappeared tomorrow, it would keep going, and all the pieces are in place. I appreciate that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, let us move it on. to the scroll.
Well, we got the scroll happening. The local scroll, we have news about. What do we have news about?
We're really just going to tell you guys that the mayoral candidate is upcoming.
Right.
The mayoral
The mayor's.
race is upcoming.
You got Watson. You got So Amarjeet.
Amarjeet's, oh yes, Amarjeet. And then also, I guess it'd be good to educate yourself for the other candidates for whatever ward your ward is as
Yeah,
well. Because
yeah.
city council candidates, you'll be voting for them as well as school
Trustee.
trustee. So just take a look at the candidates and what they're talking about, because realistically, like, I guess federal elections, are they called federal elections in Canada? Yeah, right. Federal elections usually take up a lot of energy in terms of the amount of if it's going to be Trudeau or whoever. The local elections are probably the ones that affect our lives the most.
Yeah.
So your local elections are going to decide if they're going to defund police, what people without houses, what is going to be afforded to them and available to them, and what sort of social programs and services that we have in our wards, and then also what kind of bylaws we have in our wards. And bylaws are a way where people can surveil and hamper in the lives of Black and Brown people. So it's important that we are involved on this level, essentially. So that's what we had. I don't know if you have anything else to add. Sorry.
No, I mean that's basically it. These local elections are super important. They really gauge what we're going to have for our children, for schools, what we're going to have, who's going to be in charge of doing certain things for the different wards, who's going to be in front of the mayor, who's going to be in front of the premier, who's going to be in front of these people representing your family, your friends, in your job aspect and in the education system and in the healthcare system. Yep. So you want to make sure that you pick the person that also shares your views. So you want to really read up and look at what's going on. And if you want to read up these things, you really have to use your Google and go on there and go into Edmonton elections. Just type in Edmonton elections 2021. Once you do that, you can get to whatever you want to check out and whomever you want to check out. There are lots of candidates. There was a dinner a few weeks back with the mayoral candidates where they had kind of a town hall. A lot of people were invited to sit at the table with these people and listen to them answer questions. The only problem is a lot of people thought that they would be able to ask questions live on site, but unfortunately they were not.
Did it happen?
No, not at all.
They're like, just kidding.
So they had it more so like a debate that you see in the presidential debate, where they have a moderator ask the questions and everybody gets to answer these questions. However, when you do that, there are certain topics that are not posed.
They're not going to be brought up.
Right. So one of the topics that was not brought up was racial and anti-racism on a whole. And racial profiling and systematic racism. It wasn't put in there.
Yeah.
But I do take my hat off to two of the people. First, Mike Nichols wasn't there at that, but he was at another town hall separate where you got to meet him personally a few days before. One of our techions for the Black Multiverse Theory, which is Greg Davis, had the opportunity to sit there and meet him and then ask him. He's like, well, Greg was like, well, we're not able to ask you questions that we want to ask. He's like, ask me any question you want right now. Go ahead. Hit me with as many questions and whatever. And he literally answered the questions on the spot there and he knew his stuff, and he answered how he felt right there and then. So it wasn't somebody there writing it out for him or giving him his speech or giving the answers that would reach a popularity poll, but it was more so how he really felt into the heart. And the other person, Amarjeet Sohi, he is the only one that's been in the community. He's been in the community, and he has been at Cara West. He has, even when they had the sit down at the town hall, he actually came to the table where all the black people, they put all the black people on one table, or they
That was Bobby's table. He bought it to fill it with black people.
He bought that table to fill with black people. One table. So they went over to the table.
Black up.
And he went over there and greeted them. None of the other candidates did that. None of the other candidates went over to that table and said, "Hey, how you doing?" So that speaks a lot of volumes for whom a lot of people are going to choose and who they're going to vote for.
I mean, especially when this is your job right now, is to campaign. Like, this is your only job, is to, like, be in my face in this particular moment. So
literally to kiss hands and shake babies. This is what you're supposed to be doing.
Kiss hands and shake babies.
That's what you're supposed to be doing. So if you're not doing...
my baby! Get a hold of yourself, little guy.
So that's what's puking. He's broken. So
Sir, you've shaken all of the babies today.
let's move on to the next. This really reminds me of the time when we had the Jamaican Association of Northern Alberta breakfast, and we went there, and our
good friend,
good friend Casey Madu showed up and our other good friend though, David Shepherd,
Mr. Shepherd,
both showed up, and they murdered him.
Casey Madu, yes.
Casey Madu,
and I don't know if you know, Caribbean
Listen.
people, when we ask questions, we first give a paragraph just of how we feel and what has been going on, maybe some backstory, maybe some references in terms of where we're getting the information.
Yeah.
So it was people like saying everything that's on their mind, and then be like, "And what are you gonna do about that?" Ugh. So yeah.
So you have to be, and as Caribbean people, we need the person who's listening to listen.
Right.
Because there is a lot of layers to each story.
Right.
So you have to be listening and understanding to catch the point to be able to get to the next thing or to answer it correctly. Because you'll start off that, I've been a nurse for how many odd years, blah, 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 and end up talking about the school system and how your child was affected by the school system. So if you're not listening, you're going to say, I take my hat off to the nurses and I want to give them this. Next question. And you're like, wait, well, what about what I asked you about?
I want to actually ask.
So you have to pay attention. But, good luck to all the characters. All of the candidates, not characters. So good luck to everybody who's going out for that. And please, again, just like we have said with all the things that we tell you on the show, we just want to give you the facts so you have the more power. So go out, find out the facts, give yourself the power, and realize that this is going to be really, very important to our city and our
everyday lives. All right. In this week, everybody is getting their COVID vaccines in order to participate in day-to-day life, and the booster shot is out. South of the border there, we saw Joe Biden getting his booster vaccine. Is this ever going to end? Is there ever going to be a point where there's no more vaccines? So do you think that every single vaccine they bring out is going to be mandatory like this last vaccine has been?
Well, I think what's happening is this COVID vaccine is on the table. So I think they're going to bring out first, you got to get the vaccine to protect yourself and they say to protect others, right?
The booster.
No, the vaccine.
Okay.
Right. So right now in Edmonton, in Canada, it is vaccines. So everything is vaccine, vaccine, vaccine. You got to get your whichever one of your choice, Moderna, Price Pfizer, Pfizer, and whatever is on there. You got to get these vaccines going. So it's a big push, and everybody's shaming you for not getting it, and everybody's trying to embarrass you in public for doing your research. Everybody's trying to make you feel like you're stupid for not doing it, and that's the situation. But then, now, what a lot of people don't know is that, and this is what my doctor explained to me, is that your body is a mechanism that cleans itself, and it tries to clean from the inside. And it does this by telling you you're thirsty, and you drink a bunch of water, and then you flush out things out of your system. So when there's a virus in your system, one of the only ways to get rid of it is to excrete it out of your body, either by a fever, and then that fever breaks and you're totally wet and your pillow's wet. That's usually the virus coming out of your pores. Underarms, stuff like that, coming out from your underarms when you urinate, when it comes out of that, and of course, fecal matter, it comes out from there. So you have a bunch of ways. Oh, and not to forget, your mucous membrane. So your mucus takes it from wherever it is and tries to flush it out like that. So you have all these things that are like, ew, gross, as my children would say. But those are the things that are trying to come out of your body. So if you have a virus inside you and it's excreting all this stuff, by the time you reach a year, all of that stuff is out of your body. Your virus is kind of flushed out of your body. Did Fauci not come out the other day to state that the vaccines make you an asymptomatic carrier? So does that mean the vaccine is really preemptive? And it is a preemptive, because if you have the virus in you already, and you're not feeling anything in asymptomatic hygiene, and you're not feeling anything, you could be spreading it everywhere you go. Just because you're not feeling it doesn't mean that somebody else isn't going to feel it, right? And what viruses do, so when the body actually recognizes the virus, it tries to get rid of it. And in 1 year, it successfully gets rid of not only the virus, but the antibodies produced to kill that virus. It does that in a year. So hence why they try to get you to take a booster shot. That booster shot will then boost your metabolism and your antibodies and your white blood cells to come and attack whatever it needs. So every year they're going to try and harass you to get these boosters every year, or else you're going to fall back into the same predicament that you were in before, unless one of these vaccines provides a mutant strain that causes us to become zombies, and then that will cause a whole different
It's really
other problem.
obviously what the next step is going to be.
Zombies?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Every one of the zombie things I've read starts like this.
It does start like this on
Always
a
starts
lot
like
of them.
this.
Yeah.
Anyway, folks, get your information, get vaccinated, and or not, if that's your thing. We're not here to say either way, honestly.
No. Do your research.
I think my challenge with the vaccine specifically that I'm concerned about is that people will be more likely to engage in risky behavior because they feel like they have this protection because they have the vaccine, whereby spreading the virus more and more. And while I know that we're kind of talking a lot about the unvaccinated folks and whether or not the reason why we have these high hospital counts are those unvaccinated folks, perhaps, but there's also a lot to me of risky behavior going on. And I think as time goes on, we'll see that the rate of hospitalization for vaccinated folks is also going to go up because the vaccine does help some people, but it's going to lessen it for some folks, but it may not for other folks, right? So we still have a certain percentage of the population who are going to be affected by this COVID. So, yeah, I guess I just feel like I want to continue to be safe and wash my hands and whatnot.
I mean, for the most part, culturally, people from the Black Multiverse tend to
Wash your hands.
wash your hands. When you come in from outside, when I used to play outside, be in the dirt or riding my bike, I couldn't just come in and open the fridge. I had to come in, wash up, go do this. Right?
And there's a lot of cultures who eat with their hands. So
True.
making sure your hands are clean and washing your hands is like
And do
part of
other
day-to-day.
things with their hands too. So washing your hands is very, very important depending on it's based on your culture,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah.
And then there's also the aspect of after you've washed your hands, there's the close talking. Like
Yeah, seriously, you guys.
that was.
It's okay, don't worry about it. I have the vaccine.
It's like why
Like,
are you so close? I watch TV shows all the time, and I'm like, why are you talking so close? Who does this? Who talks this close to somebody? But I guess other people do. So you're staying 6 feet away from somebody while having conversation is not really that hard. Most of us stay between 3 to 4 feet, anyways.
Anyway, regularly.
At most, like close. So just back up with a couple steps. It's like it's cool.
Okay. And the last piece that I have is
Piece de resistance.
Mr. Ara, the Ara. Isn't that what he calls himself? Ara?
When he was hype.
So, the R. Kelly, after 50 witnesses have taken the stand over the course of the last few weeks, has been convicted of 14 underlying acts of racketeering. 9 counts. 1 count of racketeering, 8 counts of violating the Mann Act. Of the 14 underlying acts for the racketeering counts, he needed to be found guilty of at least 2 to be convicted of that count. So jurors found that the racketeering, and the racketeering specifically, is that they felt like he and his people had a scheme to traffic young women and men and find young people, and have them involved in this sex trafficking ring.
Yeah. Which when you watch the show, and the show, what was the show called again? It was called Surviving R. Kelly, right? When you watch Surviving R. Kelly on Netflix, it's on right now. You can get all the seasons of it because there's 2 seasons, I believe, of it, or maybe even more because I don't have regular TV because it does come out on regular TV and Netflix takes it from there. When you watch it, you don't hear about what's happening, but a lot of times I realized that R. Kelly had security guards, he had people working with him, he had his entourage. How many of those guys were partaking and they weren't exposed in the show? They just went after Big Fish R. Kelly.
It's true.
But
and likely they probably offered them like all kinds of leniency and stuff for testifying against him. I mean, 50 people testifying against you. They were probably like, yeah, we'll clear you guys all.
Yeah.
Which is
R. Kelly took the fall.
disconcerting. He took the fall, but he
did
the guy.
He did the crap up.
He was the guy doing the thing.
I think he took the fall for everybody else. He's like, okay, I did the crime, so I'll just.
They were doing it for him.
He was doing a wee.
But they should have also.
He was doing a wee bit.
I think he should have gotten exactly what he got, but everybody else should have gotten their stuff too.
Or was it a weebo?
Weebay.
Weebay. He's done a weebay.
Weebay.
He's got a couple life sentences coming.
But why now is what I want to ask.
Why?
Yeah, if he was doing this stuff all of a sudden, I heard that he was trying to buy NBC.
Oh, NBC. No, that was, what's his name?
I know, I was just kidding.
Oh, Lord.
It's not true. I don't believe anybody was trying to buy NBC. And then the people came after them.
What's his name? Was trying to buy NBC.
I don't think that the people came after people because they were trying to buy NBC.
That's a hard one.
Okay.
That's a hard one. I feel like it's both. I think it's both. I think that he did these things. And we're talking about Bill Cosby as well. Everyone, this is switched over to Bill Cosby. So Bill Cosby was buying NBC. NBC went up for sale, and nobody was really trying to do anything with NBC. They're like, "Oh, it's failing. Oh, it's gonna go down." But Bill Cosby went and was like, "Hey, I got that Bill Cosby money," and people were like, "You ain't got enough money for NBC." And he was like, "Actually, yeah, I got this money." So he got the money.
That was in 1992.
So he got the money, and he's going after it. But then, what ended up happening was, at the same time, a bunch of women came out as well, talking about the Quaaludes. He had drugged them, and they proved that he did drug them, and they proved that he did it. And he was like, "Nah, no, I'm good.
We've got requests.
I'm good to do my Bill Cosby impression. No. It's
got
it's
one.
like this. I'm locked up.
Yeah, but he's out now.
He is out now.
Mine's like this.
I like it.
Remember he did that?
He did do that.
That's why he Bill Cosby impression.
So he had all these people come out, but at the same time, there were a bunch of people that came out at one time, and then a bunch of them retracted their statements, and then a bunch more came back out again. So I feel like some of those people may have been in it for the money, and some of them were in it for the actual thing. The problem with a situation like this is that it doubts the people who really are the victims in this. It causes people to cause doubt as to whether this happened to the actual victims, and that shouldn't be the case. Victims who have been hurt by other people need justice for what happened, and they need to see that justice happen in real time. And a lot of times it doesn't. So we have a lot of people who question it because they're like, "Yo, this is what's up." And because the bad people do this stuff, it makes it really hard for the people who are really looking for something to
So
happen.
from what I understand, that Bill Cosby tried to buy NBC, but that was 20 years before the first accusation came out.
Yeah, no, that's what Google has on.
That's what PolitiFact says.
That's what they have on there. But he had gotten just recently, he re-proposed. That was the first one, was in 1992.
But he was trying to buy, he was like, "Yo, I'll give you 300 million. And NBC was like, "Yeah, it's going to be 4 billion." So
And then NBC was going down. This is what happened as we reached past that and the situation. NBC at that time, when he was trying to buy it, NBC was like top of top. They had all the major shows. They had all the stuff. They had it. And they weren't going down at all. But at the point in the 2000s, after, like, in 2000, I think 2016, it had gone down. And it had gone up for sale.
you're saying that in 2016, Bill Cosby was trying to buy NBC.
Yeah, and he made an offer on it.
Okay.
Yeah. But they had gotten, I think it was 2015, 2016. So they went up and they were in through hard times again, or what they felt was hard times. And because when you're going up against CNN and ABC, and there's quite a few that were out there. I can't remember all the channels. But when you're going up against them for ratings and you're coming into the bottom slot, you start to lose your support and you start to lose your sponsorship. And then when you start losing your sponsorship, you kind of lose out. So you no longer have money to pay people, so there's a bunch of layoffs that happen. Blah, 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 blah. So that's when Bill Cosby was like, "Yo, let me throw you this quick squilla." And they were like, "No."
Okay. That part will be hard to find because I cannot find it.
There you go.
That he was trying to buy NBC in 2015, 16?
Yeah, that's what it
Can't
was.
find that. So.
Okay. But that's why it's the scroll.
That is why it's the scroll. That's also why it was a joke.
Yes.
That went long. Okay, so let us move it along. I think we're moving on to the scroll, right?
We are on the scroll right now.
I'm sorry, we're moving on to
The screen.
the screen. Thank you.
The screen. So the screen. What do we have on the screen? Well, there's a lot. Hello. Hey, Courtney. What's happening?
What have you been watching?
On the screen, I'm continuing. I've finally reached season 5 of One Piece.
Oh, nice.
The anime.
This is when it gets good.
Yeah. Right.
Fascinating.
The funny thing about
hundreds and hundreds of episodes.
the funny thing about anime is a lot of people don't die. For seasons. They come close, they get hurt really bad, but there's always some sort of healing element or something that heals them. They get bandaged up and they just have to take a couple weeks to get better. But then when you reach the point, the cliffhanger point, where people are moving into the real major leagues, I would call it, and every one of these anime has it, from Dragon Balls to Naruto to One Piece. That's when you start seeing people die. So the first person to die is Sea King. He dies.
Don't give it away.
Do you know who Sea King is?
No, but what if somebody wants to watch One Piece?
Sea King is a type of fish.
Oh.
Okay. So now that I've got over this, I wasn't trying to tell everybody what a Sea King was. But now we have one. So now you know what it is.
So a fish is the first person to die.
Yes.
Okay. Is that person
Nope.
It's not a
Main character
any
or
character.
crucial character.
It's just a random fish. So
he's not a random fish. He's a fish.
So how do you know people aren't gonna get attached to the fish for the first 400 seasons?
He appears in season 4 at the end of season 4.
And then he dies immediately in season 5?
Yes.
Okay.
And so that's when they get all sad and everybody starts getting really sad and they start getting serious.
Courtney?
Gave it all away. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So there's no main characters that have died yet.
Okay.
But I have a feeling this is why. I was told you gotta watch One Piece. It's really sad. And I'm like, why do I want to watch One Piece? Let me guess, he died by drowning. Yeah, actually it was close. On his own blood.
Oh, jeez.
But that's you gotta watch it. So I watched that, and then that's it. Yeah.
Okay. I watched I don't know what I watched, honestly. What have I been watching? Oh, I watched this horror one called Brand New Cherry Flavor.
Brand New Cherry Flavor. How was that?
It was interesting. What I realized is that I have been desensitized to gore, even though I used to be really sensitive to gore. And I know a lot of people who are like, yes, horror, gore, they love it. I'm not that person. Like, I like to watch horror, but I cover my eyes during the gory parts. And this one is rated, I think it's rated R even. And it's a limited series. Like, it's not a movie. It's like 8 episodes. And it has a beginning and an end. And it was...
And the middle?
Yeah, but sometimes, like Dirk Gently, for example, finishes and it doesn't have a real end because it seems like it should keep going.
Okay.
That's what I mean. Like, this has a definitive end. So, Courtney said no thanks. So, yeah, it is about... it's about a girl who goes to Hollywood, and this Hollywood director essentially hires her on and does... bad by her, essentially, and then she winds up going to the juju lady and things...
Juju meaning voodoo, for those of you who don't know.
It wasn't really voodoo. That's why I'm saying juju. Like, this descriptive thing. Voodoo is very specific. So the witchcraft lady as a general term, whatever it was. Yeah.
Like
Super
it.
scary. Not really super
Too
scary.
scary, hard pass.
Pretty like gruesome. But yeah, that's what I watched. And I'm currently watching The Hardy Boys, which is a lot less scary.
Yes, the Hardy Boys.
Significantly less scary.
Risa.
Hi, Risa.
Hi,
So
Risa.
what they did with the Hardy Boys is they switched the boys around. So normally the older Hardy is like the smarter Hardy, and the younger Hardy is usually the sports guy, who's the kind of more physical. They definitely swapped it, and also the Hardy Boys are usually closer together in age. So in the first release of the earlier books, they're like 15 and 16 years old. And then in sort of the later parts of the books, they're 17 and 18 years old. But in this show, they're 12 and maybe 16 or 15.
16.
12 and 16, which puts a pretty big gap in between them, because before, even though they were different ages, they were in the same grade.
I think it was like 15, but that made sense because... No, it didn't make sense. Because you said that the older one was the smart one.
Before, the older one was like the puzzly, smarty one.
And he still is
Now,
in the Hardy
he's
Boys.
also, yes, but the younger one is like really the brilliant of the two of them. In this one, it seems like.
Oh,
I
okay.
feel like they're both similar.
Well, what happens is one is very analytical about puzzles. So his grandma gives him a puzzle, the older one. Oh. He opens the puzzle starts chiming.
That's right.
And then he takes his hand and he's like, oh, there's a secret compartment inside. And she goes, oh, you have the eye. You can check this out. That, you know, Courtney, I had mentioned Nancy Drew before. And who knows, she might come in there. But the other boy is actually more technically minded. So he can
the
pick
radio
locks
and
he can fix radios. That's his thing, you know, picking locks, fixing radios. The older boy is a sports guy, but he's good at sports because he can analyze. He's good at baseball. I don't know about other sports, but he can analyze where the guy's weakness is and throw the ball as a pitcher to the spot that will make him strike out. That's how he's sporty.
They're good at it, yeah.
Yeah.
So I also used to read Nancy Drew Courtney, so I was like, yeah, so what's up with this girl? But remember, Nancy Drew was on the CW, I think. They did a Nancy Drew show, and they made it older. So they made Nancy and her friends and George and them a bit older. So...
Yeah. So... It's a crime if she isn't there. That's actually funny.
Yes, they might bring her in other seasons.
Is that a dad joke, Courtney? Is that a dad joke?
It's a crime if she isn't there. I wish I had a ba-do. How about this one?
Okay. So,
no, that's the bicycle one.
So
anyway, yeah, she should be in there. We'll see if they bring her in other seasons. And what I also didn't know is that Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys were not written by two people. They were actually written by a group of people, and it actually continues to this day. So there's just like different writers write Nancy Drew and Hardy Boy stories, which I didn't even know. Yeah, it's a group.
That is very, very cool.
Yes, it is garbage that they were adults.
What? That's garbage. The next thing, are you good with Hardy Boys?
Yeah, that's what I'm watching.
Upcoming shows that are coming for the screen. Like, I am super excited for a lot of the shows that are coming up.
Blood and Water.
So Blood and Water just came out with another season.
Yes.
So
I texted Riwo immediately.
Very important.
Courtney, Archie and the Gang also have a CW reboot where they're like...
It's called Riverdale. Riverdale, yeah.
And it's like serious.
And like, Jughead's in there. Archie's there sleeping with one of his teachers. It's a big, big gang show. It's a lot going on.
It's grown-up stuff.
It's really
The Hardy Boys is much better. Because I have to be honest with you, I don't like all that... I hate to be like teenage drama, but it's not teenage drama. It's just drama. Like,
It's what these kids like.
I know, but
It's
Archie comics, while they were drama, they were funny.
they were hilarious.
And yeah, and I think that Nancy Drew should be about the mysteries, but it wound up being,
They even
just
did a
like the
new
other
remix
CW.
on Sabrina the Teenage Witch. They
Yeah,
just
I
called it
actually like
Sabrina,
that show.
and you saw that one,
Yeah, I like it.
the new one.
Yeah.
So see, that one was supposed to be funny. It was an Archie comic. It was funny, but now it's just really scary. It's just scary stuff. And then, and then you have. I feel like they should do a reboot of Scooby Doo, and have him just be a dog.
Just be a regular dog.
Just a regular dog. Just a dog.
I know. He's not just a dog. He's a dog that talks through those button presses. That's what it is.
Yeah.
He'll be like,
Go ahead,
Scooby.
go ahead
treat,
Instagram and
treat,
look
treat.
up Buddy the dog, and you'll know what we're
Bunny.
talking about.
And Christina, actually, a funny thing about Sabrina being scary is that there's a time, I believe it was in season 2, where they literally brought in a real statue of a deity. Maybe it was the Beelzebub or something. I'm not really
Wow.
sure. And then they had them actually read an incantation, which was like
Yeah,
a
what-
voodoo incantation. And
For
the thing is
authenticity?
that when people mess with specifically African traditional religions, they kind of muddle them up a little bit. So sometimes they think that they're calling one person, but all of the imagery that they've put together, because they're like, whatever, it's not real, right? So all the imagery they've put together is for this one dude, and then they do all of the, oh yeah, so just do these chants and whatever. And actually same thing happened with Gabby Simier. I can't think of her name. With that show, The American Horror Story,
Okay.
is that they have these people on screen doing these things, and a lot of these people were haunted for weeks and weeks after, and had to get like priests to come and clean out their houses and stuff because of what they had to do on screen.
That's why you don't mess with it.
Literally.
But Scooby Doo you can mess with.
And also, there is a live action Rocky and Bullwinkle coming out.
Maybe bring in Moose and Squirrel. Yeah, you gotta do it.
There's a live action one coming out soon.
With Boris.
Boris and Natasha.
Of course. And Dudley Do Right.
There is that serves them right. Does serve them right.
Served her right. Yeah, give her a lick.
It's true. You can't mess with people's stuff. I don't mess with nobody's stuff.
Bro.
You can't do it.
I don't even go down by the folk festival.
Bro, one of the things that one of the shows that I listen to, the podcasts that I listen to, they have to say Candyman how many ever
What?
times as a part of, like they do the ad read, and then at the end of it, they're like, they have to say Candyman a bunch of times. And the guy's like, I'm going to try to say it in different ways because I don't want to go home and that guy's in my apartment.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So back to the shows that are coming on. So there's
sorry.
there's more shows that are coming on, and I want to get through it, and movies.
Okay.
So we have that coming on for those of you who watch for anime. If you are watching The Seven Deadly Sins, there's a new season out, or new episodes are out, so you can continue watching that. And also in the movie theaters, these are the ones coming out that I'm excited to go see. Dune.
Oh, yeah.
Dune's
deal.
supposed to be coming out in November.
Yeah.
And then right after that, Christmas, is Matrix.
Yes,
4.
the Matrix Reloaded or something.
Yeah. Resurrection or something.
Resurrected. But here's the problem with the Matrix Resurrected. They didn't talk to Lawrence Fishburne at all. I know they replaced him with Yahari.
Did they
what's
not
his
talk to
name?
him?
No. He wasn't asked about it. He wasn't told about it. Nothing. So they did replace him with Yahari?
Yeah.
Who I'm not sad about it, quite honestly. I'm not sad. But they could have done something. They could have had him there and be an alternate universe.
They do a lot of things in the Matrix world that has been sketchy. So, especially to the black characters in the Matrix.
They
So,
stole the whole movie in the beginning.
in the first thing, the what are they? The Wachowski brothers, I think it was.
Yeah, they stole it.
They took that one. It was a black character. They approached Will Smith. Will Smith was like, "Get that out of here! I don't want to do it."
Bro, I'm trying to tell you, they stole the whole movie to begin with.
Yes, I
Okay.
heard you the first
Okay,
time.
sorry.
Everybody, did you all hear this? They stole the movie to begin with. Okay, now that we've done past this point, I'm trying to tell you that happened with Will Smith. Then his wife came in, but then the guys who played operator, they wanted more money because they thought that they did way better in the first one, right? And they were supposed to come back. They're actually written in for the second book or the second adaptation. Mm-hmm. But because they wanted more money, they just killed him and brought in the other guy, who's not operator, but is basically their brother-in-law. Mm-hmm. So their sister's husband, basically, he's the new guy on the ship. And it goes on from there. So now they've done this switch around again with Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, they just completely. Maybe they couldn't afford him.
I don't know. They didn't even ask. So how do they know?
I don't know.
Maybe his agent.
Who knows?
Anyways, that's basically the movies that I am looking forward to coming up. If you also have movies that are coming up that you want to see, put it down in the Black Multiverse. Let's hear about it. Let's see what's going on.
Okay. What are you listening to?
Definitely listening to right now. Right now I'm listening to. I'm back on the late '90s, early aughts R&B list. Mm-hmm. Back on there, so that has been really, really good, really, really good.
Okay.
What about yourself?
I have been listening to D Smoke's new album.
D Smoke
Came out this last week. D Smoke is the big brother of Sir. And they are a whole musical family. Their mama sings background on some of D Smoke's songs, I guess. On some of both of their songs. Their mom sings backgrounds. And they have
okay.
Pop Smoke
Pop Smoke is
passed
a different
away.
guy. Yeah, he's gone.
So Pop Smoke has died, but D Smoke has a new album out. So War and Wonders. That is what I've been listening to. I like it. It's actually really good. There's a lot of people on there. It's good. It's like a really solid. If you like old school hip hop, not old school hip hop, but if you like, I would call it New York style hip hop, maybe West Coast hip hop, where you can like hear people singing and what they're saying, and there's still wordplay and all those things, and they're not rhyming one word with the exact same word. Mm-hmm. It's a good album. If you're like if you're a hip hop purist, you'll appreciate it. So if you're old people like us, essentially is what I'm trying to say. I would have to say between Drake, Kanye, and D Smoke's album, musicality wise, is head and shoulders, knees and toes above Drake and Kanye's.
Courtney says, not mumble.
Not mumble, exactly. It is not mumble rap. You can hear what he's saying. It's interesting. It's quite smart, and he's really talented. Like, you can tell that he has a level of musicality, and he is talented. I believe he plays the guitar. I think his brother plays the bass. His mom does background vocals. His brother, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I recommend it for you hip hop heads out there.
For those of you who like the hip hop.
The hippity hop.
The hip hop and you don't stop.
Grandmaster Flash was on this show with Noriega and a bunch of people talking about how it wasn't even called hip hop when he started doing it. He's like, yeah,
What was it called?
nothing. He's like, we weren't going to do hip hop. We were just making this music and doing this stuff. And then later they named it hip hop after a cadence. Yeah, but they had been just effing around, I guess, in the basement.
I like listening to stories about different things. So lately, I've been watching people's podcasts where they talk about their stories and they talk about how this came to be. So even like T-Pain, how he uses autotune. They had a whole interview with him, how he used autotune, and it was really after he heard Jennifer Lopez use it on one song, he decided he was like, I want to get that. He saw an advertisement for it and he heard her do it and he said, I want to get that and do an entire album using it. And he did. He did an entire album using it. But then other people were like, oh, Kanye West did the same thing. And you're right, T-Pain can actually sing, which is funny because he wanted to do the album like it because of how it sounds. He didn't want to do it to correct voice imperfections. So Cher had did it. He heard about Cher after. He heard about Kanye West's song after. But really it's it's autotune after he saw Jennifer Lopez do it.
Teddy Riley did it too, back in the day.
And
If you listen to Blackstreet's album,
he didn't use auto-tune. He used a vocoder. And actually, T-Pain in that interview explains the difference between the two.
okay. So check that out on the U's and the Tubes.
Check it out.
All right. Do you have a word for us today?
I do have a word. Do you have a word?
Nope. Not if you have one.
Yeah, the word for today is keep on keeping on, basically.
Okay.
It is basically keep on keeping on. There's a lot of things that happen that move you from one stage to the next. But what happens in life is that life oftentimes gives us all the tools we need to make things work. And we just have to put them into the atmosphere and put them into space. Oh, that's fantastic. My mom is on, everybody. That's my mom. She finally got on as we're doing the final word. So as you go on and you create opportunities for yourself, you start to move in your vision and in your face. Sometimes things get muddled because you have a lot of ideas and you want to do all of them. But you have to do what you have capacity for at the time that you're doing it. So you kind of put things out there and you keep moving things in, put them into the atmosphere, speak life into it, and you keep doing it. Other people see vision in you when you're passionate about the thing that you want to do. And so people tend to see this and help and support. When you see things growing, like, for instance, I talked last week about the garden. Same thing this week. You put the seeds in the soil. You don't know what's going to happen, but you know that the process is you got to water it and you got to make sure it has enough fertilizer, calcium. You have to make sure that your soil's right and you have to make sure your water is right. Once you have that, then it starts growing out of the soil. So you see that visual aspect of it. You're like, wow, it's green. It's coming out of the soil. I did that. And you start getting happy. But you don't actually see the fruit or the vegetable off of it until the end. And you have to keep diligently watering, diligently providing enough sunlight, moving things around when things aren't working one way. Sometimes you have to move it, replant it, repot it. You got to do some stuff like that. So you don't have soil rot and other things that I am very, very in tune with. I know all the things that happen with these plants. So once you do that, read up, do your research, ask a friend, find out about it, and then you'll realize that your substance is growing. And so that's what you have to do in your life, in your aspects, in your spiritual life. And don't forget to meditate, do your stuff, spend some time on yourself, and you'll move forward.
Okay. That was very inspirational. Thank you. I have to say before we sign off, to Miss Zita, that I did not mean to broadcast your shortcomings. We are happy that you're here. Drink lots of water. And have a good week, everybody. We will see you again next week on the Black
Multiverse Theory podcast.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Bob.